It's the movie is set in a close future, and it's in a world where you're not allowed to have kids without an authorization from the states. And we have a couple that is played by Elizabeth and Imesh that has to go through the assessment. And the assessment is Alicia, who is the assessor, Virginia, who is going to come to assess them for a week to see and maybe allow them to have a kid.
So many of the themes I found were so elegantly explored without being very agenda and like message forward, but I felt like it was a part of the fabric of how the story showed itself. I also thought the potential for the absurdist situational humor would have been very fun to explore. And I think personally, I was trying to find something that pushed me to like an edge or like a loss of control in a way. And in a world where everything is being controlled by the state, these characters, especially Mia, the character I play, is the one who's challenging, starting to challenge it and think about a different way and a sense of individual freedoms. And so Fleur and I talked a lot about her being more this of a sense of like a wild character in this place that's trying to contain her, and what that pressure could create for her. And so, yeah, those were all the reasons. And I really wanted to work with Fleur. I was looking at all of her work from, I mean, advertisements, of course, but her music videos were just really astounding to me. And visually, I was so excited to get inside her brain and be a part of her world. I knew she would build something incredible visually.
It was a juicy part in that sense. I knew I was going to get to, in a different way than what Elizabeth maybe is, expressed. I knew I was going to, have to push myself and go pretty far for me to, give justice to this role and what she's doing to this couple. I mean, she's on a mission. Obviously, they're assessing them for this week. But without giving too much away, what really drew me to it was, when I read it, it was very much a mystery, trying to figure out who she was and what her intentions were. And there is very much, a conclusion to that in the end. And there is a history to her and depth that to me made it very interesting to play.
Yeah, I was really drawn to the character because interesting that you say that he's a good person. I think yes, on one level he is, but what I really loved about the script as a whole was how complex it was, how complex everyone's relationships to each other was, and what the world that they're living in has done to them all on different levels. And that's what I found compelling about Ariane as a character. Because yes, on the surface he's a good person and he has done what he would deem to be good things for the society that he lives in, but then I think going through a process like assessment, or whatever the version of assessment they end up going through, really brings out various aspects of their personalities. And I think with Ariane it brings out elements of his personality that maybe aren't so great, or at least allows the assessor to manipulate certain aspects of his personality. So I really enjoyed that, and I had a great time working with everyone. I went into this knowing that it was something that I'd never done before. I'd never done anything like it. I don't think any of us could have possibly done anything like this, really, but I definitely hadn't, as an actor, sort of gone to certain places that I went to making this movie, and I had a great time doing it.
The first thing I think about is we shot on location. We shot on location in Tenerife in the Canary Islands before we shot our interiors on stages in Cologne, Germany. And I think the experience, even though it's, I think, hard to kind of shoot in that way, of seeing the wildness of the nature from the very beginning was so informative to all of us of what the world was that we were inhabiting. And we also got to see really beautiful places. And so I guess generally that time in Tenerife felt complicated and difficult because we were also trying to jump into things without having the time to have developed a lot of like the scene work. But it was kind of amazing to figure out how we related to one another within the natural space.
It's true that the energy that was like in the location Tenerife, it's volcanic. It's very mineral dry. There's a lot of wind. So there is a kind of constant threat that is outside. Even when they are in the house, I try to keep that wind. So it feels like it's not a world where you feel like completely safe. Even like the system is trying to make you feel like it's safe and controlled. So it adds to I think the thrill element of the film.
I mean,
That's
we
right.
did have wildfires
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
whilst we were
The
shooting.
island was on fire. while we were shooting.
Yeah. No, I mean, we were looking at them and wondering, can we film with this much smoke, or do we need to wait another day? So, I mean, it was very much part of the film. It felt like we, that it was part of our set.
Yeah, it gives like a different energy.
Yeah.
And also, I think like everyone was like so, I don't know, there's something like we put so much heart, like for different reasons, like all the cast. So it's like it really shows on the performance, and I mean, I kind of feed them with elements, but I think like with all of them, they brought like the movie to another level with like going as like Imesh said, like going into ways and I don't know, things that they haven't done before. So, and I think that's also very interesting to see that. I'd like the audience, I love when I go out of a movie and I don't have all the answers, but it makes me question for days. And I would love the audience to question themselves about all the choice we are making today, about like everything, like why do we want to have child, and if we want so much to have child, like what is the process of that, and what future we want for them, because there is like a paradox I feel in our world today that is not that far from the assessment, and I would love the audience to question themselves about all that.